This is a true story. Every case is real. Every outcome is documented. The names of the parties, listen, the names don't even matter. It's the wrongdoing. The consequences, the prices that were paid, those are permanent. True crimes, real stories. This is the true crimes of real estate.
All right, well, welcome back to episode 2. Summer, thank you for joining me again.
Yep.
This time, we're talking about the same company, but they did it again.
Wild.
But how?
I forgot.
How does the Department of Real Estate allow for something to happen again?
Well, they allowed it because they gave them all restricted licenses and sent them out.
So this goes back to the case in point of that you should have to have the scarlet letter.
Yes.
And
DRE gave them a second chance and they blew it. They blew it. And when I was reading this in preparation for this, I couldn't believe it. I had realized why I selected this case. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So for the people that didn't listen to the first one, sorry you missed it, but give us a recap of what happened the first time.
Just a bunch of trust fund violations. They were basically taking credit report fees and they weren't pulling credit reports and they were pocketing that money and it amounted to $20,000. And then on top of that, when the department... What? Oh, wow. I didn't realize we had props. And then when the DRE audits them, they find that they have a 50,000 shortage. Yep. Yeah. Between 2 trust accounts and just a bunch of other problems. So everyone gets restricted licenses. The broker of record is downgraded from a broker to a salesperson restricted. The corporation is restricted and off you go.
So does that set it up for failure for it to happen again?
No, that's why this case is crazy. Because when you get that restricted license, I mean, I work with restricted licensees all of the time, and you're walking just the tightest line. You're going to church, you're doing everything right. You do not screw that up because you want to get past those years that you have to have the restricted license on good behavior. You don't mess up. And then hopefully you can try to petition the department to reinstate your license, get the restriction taken off. That is the goal. So no, you don't see this.
So was the punishment harsh enough?
For this particular company and broker, clearly not. They are officially repeat offenders, okay? And they go out. I mean, I couldn't believe what I read.
So, but how could it have been done differently to protect the consumer and make sure this didn't happen again?
Troy, you know the answer to that question. What's the answer?
The answer is
how do you avoid this?
They should have been compliant.
No. Maybe they should have been revoked. Maybe they didn't deserve the second chance, right? But it's hard to get
But they had a new broker. So they had a new broker and then had to get literally get somebody.
Well, there was someone
that came in and said, okay, I like how you think, but let's do it this way.
I like your style.
I like what you think because they're agreeing to a new broker's coming in.
Yeah, but the broker,
company that had a restricted license.
Yes.
And now comes in and says, okay, we're going to right the ship. We're going to do it correctly this time. But I like how you think, maybe we should do this time, and not get caught.
They do the same thing again in a much bigger way. And the broker that they hired as the broker of record was a broker associate for the company.
So he was already
He was in the mix.
So when we talk about what happened in episode 1, that was supposed to be the fix.
Right.
But it happened again.
Yeah.
An inside job. Repeat twice. Twice offensive.
Yeah.
So what did they do this time?
It is so wild. I just still even can't believe it. So property management company, obviously. And in the nature of property management, companies are always sort of utilizing the same vendors and contractors for services. So this brokerage, our repeat offender, had business relationships with vendors and contractors to provide services to the property, plumbing, maintenance, repair, that kind of thing.
And that's pretty normal.
Very normal.
I mean, even in real estate, we have our vendor directories of people that we refer people to.
Yeah, totally normal, perfectly fine. But here's the deal. So these vendors, in exchange for this business that they're constantly getting from the brokerage, they discount their fees, the bills, to the property management company by 10 to 20%.
Okay. So, but that's kind of normal.
That can be
also,
normal
right?
too. Right. So the vendors are giving a discount to the brokerage. Now, the brokerage then turns around and bills the property owner for the full amount. They do not disclose the discount. They do not disclose the markup.
So they're not even giving them like the receipt. Like, I mean, because I've owned rental properties before with a property manager, and I got a copy of like what the bill was every time.
Yeah, you get your invoices, you get your owner's statements.
It was paid by the property manager.
Yes. Well, these owner statements, these invoices showed the full amount, and it never disclosed the discount and or the money that was being earned by the brokerage, the difference.
So were they getting a rebate? Or was it just the amount that they were paying was short that amount?
Right. So when the owner went to pay the brokerage, they were paying full price, but the brokerage didn't have to pay full price. They were getting a 10 to 20% discount, which the brokerage pocketed as revenue.
Isn't that profit and overhead?
This is secret profit because it's undisclosed, which is basically what they did in round one.
So, but if it had been disclosed that we're getting a lower price and we keep that as negotiating of the repairs.
This is called a disclosed markup. So brokers mark up things all the time. You have to disclose that markup. You have to disclose that to your property owners. And property management brokers will do that in their property management agreements. It's not uncommon.
So do you think that they went into this, and I mean, this is making speculation, but did they go into this saying, we're not going to disclose this, or was it a paperwork issue?
No. Wait till you hear the dollar amount.
Well, yeah, but the dollar amounts add up, right? Like, no.
This is a systemic failure. Like, it's not part of their practice. They're not doing it. And let me tell you something. Round one, DRE audit one, that is a crash course in trust fund handling. They learned very rudely and crudely, if you will, that you disclose this stuff. You disclose that you didn't run the credit report and you pocket that. Of course, you wouldn't do that. You'd be refunding it. They made that decision not to do that.
They're pocketing.
Thank you. And then, so for them not to disclose this discount, they should have known better. This is secret profit 101. Troy, this was their second chance, man.
I get it, but I just I
don't know. Your face looks a little lost.
Maybe I'm giving them the
No. Wait till you find out. No.
And we'll get to that. But I'm looking at it.
I'm so excited to say it though. I'm so excited.
Even if it's $50,000, and I know it's not the amount, but like if it's $50,000 and it's over the course of 100 transactions, like that's real money per transaction. But like, did they just not? Like, did they?
What are you saying? Did they not know?
No, I'm not saying did they not know, but like, was there?
They never did it. They never disclosed it.
But is that because they didn't know?
I don't care that they didn't know. They should have known. This one,
they
should have known.
Do you think they went into this saying like,
we're going to make some money?
Because we can't make money the other way?
Can't speculate.
Did they do this in the first audit? Did the first audit find this, or did they? Like
the first audit, there was secret profit because they pocketed.
But that was on the
credit report fee. Right.
But did they?
Yeah, but it's all the same concept. They learned that they should have been disclosing that. They should have been refunding, whatever. They learned that that was a violation. And by the way, they suffered some restrictive licenses with a long period attached to it. So it is wild. That, and mind you, we're not talking about one-offs here. Okay, sometimes something doesn't get disclosed. It's a one-off. And
was this a one-off that they forgot to disclose that their markup?
This is a free-for-all. This is an opposite of a one-off.
So it was intentionally.
Listen, I won't speculate because I don't know everything, but if you're looking at this disciplinary document, your mouth is ajar because I can't believe they walked into this activity again.
So we're going to tell the story a little bit deeper, but we're not telling the story so other people get this idea, of how to do it.
Yeah, this is not an advertisement how to commit.
So, but but there is part of this to understand what happened so that others can make the corrections and to make sure that they're not doing it or that they're doing, business correctly if they are getting a kickback.
Yes.
If they're getting a kickback from a vendor for the business that they send them, is the kickback being disclosed?
Right. And honestly, this is like the world of markups, I call it. And I work with property management brokers a lot who are saying, and I'll ask them, do you mark up any of these invoices? And if they say yes, my next question automatically is, okay, that's okay. Are you disclosing that to your property management owner, your property owner, sorry, in the property management agreement? And many, I mean, and I'm not exaggerating, I have so many DRE audits going on right now with property management brokers. And I swear to you, it's the same issue all the time.
So this case here,
this has gone wild.
So, but it's not something that doesn't happen regularly.
This doesn't happen regularly. Good brokers are disclosing the markup, or they're questioning, can I do this? Can I mark this up? I'm getting a discount for this. Should I be disclosing that? What do I do? Contact DRE, contact, an attorney, a consultant. They're vetting that to figure out the answer. And then of course they're proper. And then, brokers will hire attorneys all the time to prepare their, legal agreements. So a good property management agreement will cover all of these, bases.
This case is, and what they've got in trouble for is more about the non-disclosure of the money versus the trust account or the trust funds.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they're taking trust funds, right? So listen, let me back up a few clicks. They got in trouble the first time. They walked away with restricted licenses. They know that they're going to receive, Troy, a follow-up audit by the Department of Real Estate. They will be audited again. They know this. And they were audited very soon thereafter, 1 year after they were audited. So think about that. Even that, you're going to be audited again. You're going to be on your best behavior, right? Because everything from the time, the effective date of your initial discipline, all the way to the follow-up audit, that's going to be under inspection. So DRE comes out, they do another audit, and they find this issue. It was amazing because the accusation that lays out all the charges and all the audit findings, they don't even go into all the things that you would normally see in an audit accusation. Like, this is the star of the show, and yeah, done. Because this was found to be a violation of the law while their license was still in restricted status. So this is an easy case for the DRE. It's an easy case.
So it was more than 50,000. It was more than 100,000.
Yeah. It's more than 150,000.
So we're talking a substantial, grand theft.
It's major, man.
So
can you imagine that?
No, and that's why I have a hard time with this.
So
it's like,
how are you feeling about this? I just can't believe it.
it's how are there people that are stupid enough to go and do it again? Right? And knowing that you're truly being watched for the next year. If you were that hungry for it, why not wait and go, after the year's up and you were, scot clean and, perfect. But to come in and try it from a different angle, it really makes me think were they doing this the first time and it was missed by the Department of Real Estate the first time?
Department of Real Estate is pretty damn good. And they're looking at all the normal things every time. They literally will sample invoices.
So they really did go and do something just completely different.
You know what? I think we're in the market. I think I'm feeling kind of spicy. Let's mark up these invoices. Let's hide these discounts.
So do you think that property management carries a higher
Yes. Oh, sorry. What's the question?
A higher burden of compliance?
Yes. Yeah.
And why is that?
Because of trust fund handling. It's a whole new ballgame. I think I said it before. It's the World Series of compliance. When you're handling trust funds, the second you touch $1, you are accountable. And you're going to trace that dollar through your books. And now imagine big companies handling lots and lots and lots of money, millions of dollars. There are big property management companies out there that you wouldn't believe the volume, right? So, and it doesn't take a lot to get in trouble. This is an extreme case, but again, I'm seeing it all the time that property management brokers are being audited, even good brokers who are just making mistakes, and they can end up with an accusation on their record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know what this company did wrong.
Yeah.
Is there more to what they did wrong?
Well, I mean, let me paint a little bit of a picture. I mean, the DRE charged them with fraud, misrepresentation, negligence, dishonest dealing, just the whole thing. And of course, the broker, this new broker of record that took the reins after the initial discipline, of course, this person gets charged with lack of supervision. Of course,
it's the easy one to tag them with.
Yeah.
Even though the broker was
even
the
if
one
the
doing
amount
it.
was 20,000 and not over 150,000 in revenue pocketed. Lack of broker supervision is always going to be that charge that's appropriate when this type of stuff happens. Yeah.
So now we go into like, what could have been done differently, or what's the bigger takeaways here? Well, why is this considered dishonest dealing even though the work was actually performed?
So yes, you're talking about the work that was performed by the vendors, like the vendors really performed the work. Okay, sure. Yeah, services were performed. But wouldn't you be pissed?
I'd be livid.
Okay, well, you've answered your own question.
I mean, I didn't like
Congrats.
it when I had to pay to have my snow removed from a cabin, and then there was profit and overhead charge because they managed that relationship, but I knew about it.
Okay, right. And, you can say, no, I don't agree with that. And, whatever, maybe you part your ways. Maybe you go find another management company that doesn't do that. There are some management companies, or many, that don't charge markups. They just don't even want to get into the business of that and disclosing and all the things.
It's just more math that you have to deal with.
And compliance.
So a lot of property managers would consider this the margin.
That's right.
Why is this considered fraud?
Because they basically represented to their principals that it was $500 when it was actually less.
Because they're asking their customer to reimburse them for more than they actually came out of pocket.
They are misrepresenting what the fee for services was, and they are pocketing the difference without disclosure. That is secret profit all day long.
So what should the proper disclosure look like?
It's, hey man, you don't even, well, no.
I mean, it's literally,
you don't need an attorney. No,
it's literally potentially a paragraph.
Yeah,
in your contract.
It's one little cute little paragraph, little provision in your property management agreement that says just that. Literally, that spells out the situation. And if a property owner is not comfortable with that, they're not going to sign it, or maybe it becomes a negotiable point. Who knows? And there are some brokers, like I said, that just don't even get into that area. They don't want to mess with it.
So to stay compliant,
it need to be
disclose? But are you disclosing that it's 10% or 20%, or it's a variance between?
It's a good question.
X, Y, and Z. Like, how do you stay compliant with it?
Yeah, and now I'm giving good old fashioned consulting advice, and I'm not an attorney. I'm not an attorney, but the closer you can get to disclosing what it is that you're receiving, the better off you'll be. Like, because sometimes I've seen brokers say, hey, I'm receiving between a 10 and 50% discount or something. Like, it's like this large range. Like, no, you need to tighten it up as much as possible. Maybe you charge a $25 processing fee every time you have, or maybe it's a little more, every time you have to deal with a vendor. Say just that. I mean, here's the thing, and this is the part where I just, and maybe an attorney would say, oh, you don't have to disclose all that. But I've seen such hell stories. It's like, why wouldn't you just disclose it? And then you get an 8-hour sleep and you feel good about yourself. Like, if you want to give some vague disclosure, I mean, think about real estate, right? The more vague you are, the farther you are from the truth sometimes. So I say, tighten it up. Tighten it up.
Maybe your Instagram needs to be, lack of compliance never sleeps. Compliance always sleeps.
There's a lot of people breaking the law that are sleeping like babies. They're sleeping like babies, Troy.
Is there a difference between then the way that they were paying the bills and charging, which, I understand.
I don't know all those ins and outs.
Well, but if
for
if they were getting a refund at the end of the year for a vendor, like, does that have to be disclosed?
A refund?
Like, they're getting a rebate. Like, I sent you $100,000 worth of business. You're going to give me a 5% rebate at the end of the year, or cash back, right? Like, my referral fee was 5%. Now you cut me a check for $5,000.
I think you should
It wasn't like specific for this job or this job. It was all encompassing for everything.
You know what I'm going to say? Because of all of my years, I'm going to say, yeah, disclose it. And if you don't like that, yes, definitely contact an attorney and have an attorney tell you, yes, disclose it, or no, don't. But honestly, the way I think of it, like, do you want to be audited?
No.
Do you want to talk about this rebate or this discount or this markup that wasn't disclosed? What will be your explanation? You don't want that. Nobody wants that. Okay. It's like food poisoning. You just don't want it. And you got to, oh, that's not a great example. I mean, food poisoning is awful. And, going to the dentist is awful. I mean, all these awful things. A DRE audit can be equally awful.
Going to the dentist is only horrible when you don't take care of your teeth.
Yeah, I hate the dentist.
So
sorry to dentists out there.
So what does this case tell us about how small ethical shortcuts can turn into six-figure violations?
This case is kind of, it stands out to me, Troy. It's not like your normal, like, listen, brokers get in trouble for not disclosing markups. I haven't seen one like this to this. I mean, this one is just so special because they literally had a secret profit violation in the first round of discipline. You usually don't make that mistake again. But
well, they tried it differently this time.
They did. They did try it differently, and it's as impressive as it is stupid.
So how does this bring in the trust account?
Well, because it's all the money floating in and out of the trust account, Troy. Think about it.
But there's a general operating account and then the trust account. Like typically I don't have, $10,000 in reserves for my property in the property management company. They're floating that out of their general account, which then I'm reimbursing.
Okay. That's one way. Sure. So, there's all different storylines here, but the broker could have a general account where they pay out from their own money the invoice for the vendor. And then the money they collect from the property owner is theoretically a reimbursement, right? And sometimes you see situations where, and this is where it gets really technical and I don't want to lose the crowd, but sometimes brokers will have not paid the money to the vendor and they take that money first from the property owner and they'll put it into their operating account, like as if they were reimbursed, but they weren't reimbursed for anything because they didn't actually make the payment. And that you got commingling. So, it's kind of like this sort of intricate dance and there's different ways to do it. And another way is sometimes brokers will just pay these invoices and expenses right out of the trust account. And that's the trust account, Troy. That's if you've transactions there.
So if money's coming in on the 1st and we're paying bills on the 3rd and then the distributions to the owners are on the 15th.
Yeah, that's all.
Then the money's in the trust account.
That's right.
To pay from it.
That's right. We don't know how it was done here and we don't want to speculate, but there's lots of different ways it could be done. What we know for sure is that they marked it up, they didn't disclose, and they pocketed a hefty sum of money, way more than the first time around.
So failure to supervise. The broker,
indeed.
The broker here was the one that was lack of supervising themselves, right?
From the documents, I can't glean how many people are supporting this operation, but I can tell you that it's the same stars from the original movie. Okay,
and that's because they hired somebody into the broker seat that was already at
to be the right, and then the former broker of record, who is now the restricted salesperson, is very much still an owner of the company, and I know that because I'll tell you what happened, what was the final result here, but so. This person is also continuing to be part of the operation.
Which, I guess in hindsight, the consequence could have been bigger the first time to prevent that.
Yeah, and you were mad the first time. Remember how you felt?
I do, and I still feel that way.
Yeah, you've lost some sleep, I can tell.
So now, if you were a company owner and this was your company, your last broker was fired. You didn't know that was going on, and the corporation's owned by somebody other than the broker. Broker's employed. Say now we bring this new broker in, and you've got this going on. They're getting hit with broker supervision, but as a corporation and the owner of a company, like, is there duty on me to supervise
the
broker?
non-licensed owner?
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, you are not under the jurisdiction, like, a person that doesn't hold a license and who's not engaging in acts that require a real estate license, like, you're not subject to the California real estate law. Now, there's some gray here and there, but suffice it to say, yes, there are owners of companies who want to be paying attention to making sure that their broker of record is handling things right, and they should challenge them. I mean, I was just contacted by someone who was looking for a broker of record, and they want to find the right person. They're not going to have ownership in the company, but their board wants to make sure they hire the right person. And it should be a thoughtful interview, right? Because the broker of record is not just a status, and that's where some take
your
it.
Your company, your agents, your livelihood of your company relies on this person's judgment, sense of character, their ethics, their morals.
Yes.
And inevitably what they know about the law and about the Department of Real Estate, and how they need to bring in, specialty people.
Yes.
To
especially in this area.
They don't know.
Right.
I mean, that's how we met. Like, second time was, starting a brokerage, and we want to make sure that everything's done correctly.
Yes, and you cared.
I still do.
Thank you for your service.
So what does reasonable supervision actually mean in property management?
Okay, well, to answer that question, let's just understand reasonable supervision. And this is where I actually advocate.
Because this is a real term in DRE words.
This is a real term, and it's actually defined quite nicely and neatly in the law. I usually don't point people to the law because the law is so... it's wishy-washy. Sometimes it's worded wrong. You don't understand. People walk away with 10 different interpretations. This one, it's Regulation 2725.
You know that one.
I'll try. I know them all. But if you look up Regulation 2725, you will not be sorry. No, what I'm trying to say is Regulation 2725 is the blueprint of broker supervision. It lays out that reasonable supervision is essentially the establishment, are you ready? Of policies, procedures, rules, and systems to review, oversee, inspect, and manage. And then it lists off like 8 things. Transactions requiring a real estate license, the material documents that principals sign, advertising, your favorite, trust fund handling, record retention, the activities of licensed agents, the regular reporting of those activities, and then the laws and regulations that prohibit discrimination, right? So that's all of that fair housing compliance, and what is a broker doing to make sure that their agents are not out there discriminating against people. So those compliance areas and the establishment of policies and rules to basically help the broker oversee, manage, supervise, that is what the DRE defines as reasonable supervision. And it goes on to say that brokers can use other licensed agents and brokers within their company to help assist with that, as long as they don't relinquish overall responsibility. Now, that was a lot. I didn't mean to do that. I felt like I was testifying.
But why doesn't having staff, vendors, or software reduce the broker's liability?
Why doesn't? Can you say that? Can you rephrase?
Does having staff, vendors, or software reduce the broker's liability?
If they're used in a compliant fashion, absolutely. It can only help. So, sometimes brokers don't have to delegate. Maybe it's a small, maybe you're an independent broker, you're small, maybe you have 10 agents. Yeah, maybe you don't have to delegate to other people. Maybe you're a very active designated officer, a broker of record, and you can manage it. But as you grow, as you get bigger, and of course there's brokers out there that have thousands of agents, it becomes critical, right, that you delegate to licensed, competent, and experienced people to assist you with managing what Regulation 2725 requires. And yes, that could also include the right software, the right tools, record retention rules, transaction management software, trust fund handling software. Sure, you're going to rely on tools for many things. Otherwise, you're using Excel like it's 1970.
Gotta love a good product.
Did Excel exist in 1970?
No.
Okay, 1990.
They had Clippy, that cute little
Okay,
character.
right. You're doing carbon copies and little things.
So,
okay.
California Business Code 10159.2 comes into broker supervision also.
Yeah, that's the statute.
See, I'm not the only one that can
Well, you're also got a little thing on your thing, but that's fine. You have a cheat sheet. Yeah, so that's the actual code section that talks about the designated officer being tasked with supervision. The regulation, and that will, that's cute for 2 seconds. If you look at regulation 2725, that's going to pay a much, like literally, I always think, and here's my free advice, your written policy manuals that you have out there, put regulation 2725, spell it out in your policy manual. This is what you're expected to do. The broker's expected to do. Put it out there. Show your agents that this is the code that you're up against to make sure no one messes up.
Well, and not even, I think that's great when you have a real estate salesperson practice in business.
Sure.
But with property management,
it's all about trust funds.
They're all still looking at that also, and just as much the staff and the administrative that's touching the properties and doing stuff, they should be adhered to that same
100%. You're going to have a big focus on trust fund handling. You're going to have a big focus on like who is doing like lease origination and handling the renewal of leases, because that's license activity. And we can get into other different areas. But yeah, a property management policy manual is going to look a little different. But I will say regulation 2725 applies to all brokers, regardless of the type of activity that you engage in. Fun fact.
Fun fact.
So fun. Compliance is so amazing. I can't believe it.
So does broker supervision failure compound when there's already prior discipline?
Absolutely. Well, the whole thing is intensified, right? Because, for example, in this accusation, the subsequent accusation that was filed by the department in connection with the follow-up audit, it always mentions in matters of aggravation, this is what happened a few years ago. And so, yeah, if you were to go before a judge, right, and the DRE is putting on their case, yeah, this company has a record. Think of it that way.
I've been there with speeding tickets.
Oh.
Yeah, when you go in front of the judge the second time and they say, well, you have this before, that you look a little less credible when you say that?
I wish I would have known that before I agreed to do this with you.
Oh, yeah, when you've got a speeding ticket. No, just tickets. Some of them dismissed because the officer was wrong.
Oh, please.
Radar's not always right.
Okay. You speed, huh?
But no, I've got a, respectable, lead foot.
Wow, I feel like you're exposed.
A little bit, yeah.
Wow.
My radar detector.
I didn't know I was with some
my radar detector
felon.
up here, and not a felon. None of them were. No, there was the one, but that one that got
Let's
dismissed.
Just put it that way. You're breaking laws. You want to do this?
But fact of the matter is, whether it's your kid did something wrong at home or you've been looked at in court,
away from this topic.
No, I'm not. I'm leaning into it.
Okay.
and just trying to find that example here that everybody can relate to. The kid does something wrong. Are you gonna trust them when they say I didn't do it the second time? Or you're sitting in court with a speeding ticket going 85 and a 60. And you tell the judge, I didn't do it. Well, you did it this time. Why am I believing you this time?
Well said.
And so then they do.
It was a long road, but well said.
The kid loses the iPad the first time and it wasn't enough. And they do something wrong again. And you take the iPad away for a little bit more time the next time. And it's that compounding effect.
Yeah. My son's working off a 7-day ban on an iPad right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Compliance at home, too.
No, compliance at home is a little more tough.
Feel free to use the speeding ticket stuff in there. I mean, it's very vulnerable for me, but yes, there's a little bit.
I feel like I've been lured into this podcast with a felon.
Did you not see the car I pulled? You don't see the car I drive up in? I
engage with the police, and apparently you're showing up in court and all sorts of things. I feel hoodwinked, and I don't even really know all of that.
There was one time I was going down the 105 freeway and allegedly speeding.
Look how excited you are to tell this story. I love this.
This story's great.
Is it?
Oh my God.
I don't know that it's that great, but you're breaking rules.
The officer asked for my license to be, suspended, and the officer said that he could hear my car going in excess of 100 miles an hour. And at that point, my attorney just ripped into him and said, "Are you certified to hear
You had
the
an
speed?"
attorney.
Oh yeah. Like,
Oh
are you
my
are you
God,
are
what
you
a-
certified to hear and estimate the speed of a car? No. Yet you wrote my client up at, 105. And I said, well, honestly, I think he saw I
105?
think he saw the freeway sign, or he, was totally mistaken, but it wasn't me going 105. My wife was in the car and she would have been yelling at me if I was going that fast.
Okay, that part I agree with. Okay.
So sometimes they're not always right.
Okay. I don't know how to feel about any of that, but keep going.
There's a lot more of those stories.
Now
too.
remember, oh my God, I'm going to run a background check on you.
I don't understand
Before
why
we
people.
do episode 3, I'm running a
I
background
don't understand
check.
how it's okay to eat a hamburger and drive with my knee, or hold my wife's hand and have a conversation with her, but I can't hold my phone up to my head.
Oh, all good points.
But a woman can put her makeup on at the stoplight, and that's okay.
Right. I understand your point. It's
but
been noted.
I can't hold my phone, and that's a ticket.
Do you want to just do the podcast on this? We could just.
I could totally. I mean, I got a lot of those tickets.
Okay. Well, I'm going to look into this. I'm going to tell you right now. Compliance has another task tomorrow, but let's just finish this
Fine.
first.
When you have the right attorneys, a lot of them go away.
Well, you're spoken like a true broker who's in trouble with the DRE right now.
Okay, none of this piece can go in.
I don't know about that.
Okay, so the consequences. When the DRE is done giving chances.
Don't look at me like that.
Okay, man. All right, so
Okay.
how does this discipline change because they had issues before?
I'm going to tell you. You want to know what happened?
That's what happened.
Okay. So the restricted corporate entity, the corporate brokerage, voluntarily surrendered their real estate license. They gave it to the DRE.
And they had it attacked before. Like
right. They
were
had that
penalized.
Yeah, I forgot how many years. I want to say it was 3 years, and then it was 4
But the
years.
corporation was already under watch.
Yes, they were under watch. They had the restricted license. They're like, man, we're done. We're hanging up our hat here. And they voluntarily surrendered their license. And sometimes, brokers will ask to do that. Can I just surrender my license? And DRE will say no. And they'll take them through the dirt of everything going forward.
Is that because they don't want to go through the investigation, that they're like, here, I was wrong? Or
The broker?
Yeah.
Well,
Or I'm
it's
trying
more-
to reduce my risk.
Like in this case, like they're just done. Like they're obviously not going to engage in anything with this entity anymore. This entity is completely flawed. It's got all of this discipline against their
So
license.
does that stop them from going and opening a new entity?
No, but you do have to disclose. I mean, I don't know if you want to get into this, but if they were to go, because this is a popular thing for people that like to do unlawful stuff. This is not a how-to manual here, but they can create a new entity, and if any of these owners of the company are the owners of the new company, if they're 10% or more owners, or maybe they're the chief executive officer, like the high-level officers, you actually have to complete a form with that new company application for licensure that discloses if you've had any specific adverse actions, and there's all different things like convictions and things like that fall under that, and you have to disclose that. And so DRE could, if they disclose, and they're going to run the names and stuff, if they disclose that, DRE can use that as a way to maybe then deny the application for licensure. So yes, unless they got a whole new outfit of owners and things.
So this company came in and they said, we're in trouble again. Here's our license.
Yeah, they were done.
So then
And
what
DRE
happens to the broker?
accepted it. And DRE accepted it. So then we have our little restricted salesperson who was the former broker of record, right? And I believe this person had a 4-year restriction. He's now revoked. You're done.
You don't see the DRE revoke very
Well,
often.
in this case, yes. I don't know that this is why this was a nice two-parter, because you don't see this all the time where they go back and they screw up again or use the F word like you said again times 2. So this girl gets revoked. Done.
So they're done.
They're
Now,
revoked.
And so then what about the
They
new?
can petition to try to get their license back, but they're going to have a hurdle with that at some point.
So then what happens to the new broker?
Yes, good question. And I was shocked to learn that the DRE allowed this person to walk away with a restricted license on terms and conditions for 2 years.
Why do you think he got off so easy?
Again, there's a lot. I don't want to speculate. There's a lot of ins and outs, but I have to say I'm a little speechless on it. I'm surprised. They must have had a damn good attorney, and they were able to show rehabilitation, and they did all the things, and they
just didn't know.
That's not an excuse.
But they should have known, which
they
comes
should have
back
known.
to
So
supervision and actually knowing what's going on in the company that you're overseeing and the staff.
I mean, there can be wild cases where the broker of record is doing their job, and like the people that are that they're relying on to run the ship is not disclosing to the broker of record the true situation.
Well, but that's where it comes back to the right technologies, the right,
and brokers being involved to double check
and being
that.
Involved, because is there a chance here that this broker did not know what was going on, and the accounting person or the bookkeeper was skimming the money, or did he not know that it wasn't disclosed?
Sure, there's a law we don't know.
In the policy and procedures manual, or in the the contract to the houses or the customers that they're doing the property management for, that he just didn't know. And there is a possibility there.
Yeah, there's all different
scenarios. He got off a little bit easy.
Yeah.
But maybe he should have known. He should have been able to figure out what was going on.
Unless there's some wild, they must have had some sort of wild explanation, and it floated a little bit, because I was surprised that this person walked away with a restricted license. I was surprised. But, if this person has been in the business for 30 years, they've never had disciplinary action. They don't even have, civil suits. It's just like real clean, straight as an arrow sort of person.
Tickets.
Definitely no speeding tickets.
So if you had to sum this case up in one sentence for the brokers listening, what would it be?
If you're going to mark up invoices in connection with your property management business, if you're going to mark up anything, if you're going to use a credit card, how about this, Troy? If you're going to use a credit card in your property management business and you earn credit card points, guess what? Ta-da! You have to disclose those too. So everything is transparent in terms of how the broker is benefiting with a client's property. Okay? You disclose it. You disclose it, you sleep at night, you do well in an audit. You don't disclose it, you're going to have problems.
Okay,
every time.
Before we wrap this up, I think
Yes.
there's a question here that I think parlays into the whole industry as a whole. If a salesperson helping a listing or helping a buyer is paying for the home inspection fee or the chimney fee and getting reimbursed, or on a listing they're paying the person to go and power wash, or the gardener, and they're getting a kickback. They're getting a kickback or a rebate, or they're getting, a thank you gift.
If they're getting...
I'm just trying to think of it and putting it in a way that everybody can relate to, because people do pay for the power washer. They do pay for the painter to go and touch stuff up, and they're advancing the money sometimes.
Yeah.
And if there is a kickback, does that need to be disclosed in the listing contract? And if so, how's the broker protecting themselves if the independent contractors are paying and the brokerage isn't even involved?
The broker needs to be looking at the listing agreements and reviewing them. And in the right brokerage, the good broker has a policy that if you're paying for costs that you will be reimbursed for by your client and you're receiving some other financial benefit, we need to disclose that. Or maybe the broker says, no, you can't do that. So make it a policy that protects the broker, as long as the broker enforces that policy.
Yeah, but if I pay for something and I'm getting Amex points.
Yes.
So it almost, in this instance.
If you make your client pay you back for staging and you put that on your Amex and you got points for doing that, you have to disclose that. That is secret profit if you don't disclose it, believe it or not.
So who's disclosing it? The brokerage or the agent?
Well, the agent is the one that's usually drafting the agreements. So yes, the agent has to disclose it.
So if you're a broker,
you have to have a policy that talks about this. It has to be on your radar. If it's not on your radar, it's not going to be on agents' radar unless they're just some sort of compliance expert.
So then the broker, should they ask every once in a while when they see a house that's staged, did you front the cost of this?
Say that again?
Should a broker that sees that a house is staged, should they ask the listing agent and say, did you pay for this or front the cost for this, or did the client?
Oh, maybe they have a little intake sheet when they receive a listing and they ask that question to make sure that that gets disclosed. And it links up to a policy and an established procedure and maybe template language that's used in the listing agreement every time.
Because it would really suck to get hit for secret profit out of a brokerage where my agents were paying for the staging upfront on the credit card and they were getting points.
And getting reimbursed back from the client. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, Department of Real Estate, if you're in California, they have a great advisory. I want to say it's 2018. It's one of the real estate bulletins. You could search on their website, Secret Profit, and it will pull up a great, or email me. I'll give you the article. But it's fantastic because it goes over all of the scenarios on how to avoid secret profit. And it's literally powered by the many, 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 many audits that the DRE has done and what they have found in the course of those examinations. Because this is, this happens. And brokers and agents have to be the wiser.
Well, thank you for the combo.
Sure.